Dean here. Dean78904. If you want to get all technical on me, it's myself and Blender, Jordan Cooper. I'm invading Jordan. Jordan typically is telling you right now, he's teaching you. We talking MMA. We making fun of people for asking for super questions. Who knows what you'd be in the middle of doing right now, Blender? But we got baseball. We have early baseball, and it's a little bit tricky. Because there's a 3-game Fanduel slate that starts at 12:35. It's the very, very early Fanduel slate. I believe that's what it's called. There's a couple varies, or maybe it's just one vary. It's early. It's very early for the Fanduel slate. And the DraftKings slate does not start until, 2:30 or 3 o'clock?
2:05.
They're on top of these things.
2:05 Eastern.
Yeah, so whatever.
That's a 5-game slate. That's a slate that I'm going to be playing. The Fanduel one, I don't care about.
Well, all right. Well, you know who cares about it is Crunch Time, because Crunch Time is sponsored by Fanduel. So they're certainly going to be talking about it. Well, we're happy to acknowledge it. We're happy to discuss it. If those in the chat want to talk about it, hey, if you're guys in the chat, welcome. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Do all those things. We want to be as interactive as possible here for the next hour until we yield. Yes, there is a Crunch Time. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. It's do we know who's on Crunch Time? Is it TJ? I believe it's TJ Zwarych and Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. Does that sound right, Wonder? That's producer Devin, by the way. What's up, producer Devin? It's been a while.
It's been a while, and I jumped in, Dean. I got to get you to tilt that camera down. Your camera is all out of focus. It looked fine until we went live.
One of them that he looks like the Humpty Dumpty, and
it was fine until we went live. The minute we went live, it just went right out of focus.
I didn't touch anything, Devin. It just sort of like my camera knows that all of a sudden they get goofy. And
are you sitting in a beanbag chair? I never understand this.
I'm not, but I kind of wish I was. Now that you mention it, that sounds pretty comfortable. Do you have a beanbag chair? You don't have that in your house, right? Is that still a thing people have?
I have no idea. I'm sitting in a normal chair upright with the camera in front of me, and look how great I'm framed. Devin loves me. I got my backdrop, right? I got everything. You look at it.
Maybe you're sitting too high. You ever think of that?
I could lower myself. Is that better now?
Yeah. Hey, let's all go to Dean's height here. Let's all go to
Dean's height. Right now we're good.
Well, you have this ego where you have to sit higher than everybody else.
Hang on, gotta get the angle right too.
You're the same height as me. I've met you. Why are we always sitting like this?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Because the only is I don't have an ego, and I don't need to all of a sudden feel like subconsciously that I'm higher than you or better than you. I don't have to do that. So.
Does this make it look? This actually makes it look better because at least we're even. I'm sitting very close to the ground now.
What's up, Blender? How's Thursday morning treating you?
Fine now. I mean, I'm up. I'm awake. I'm good. And
I'm saying now. How were you 5 minutes ago?
Horrible. I'm always horrible before a show. It's like
so 5 minutes ago, you were horrible.
Well, we got a 5-game slate that doesn't lock for me at least until 2:05. So that means half the lineups aren't even in. We got pitching changes, right? We go into the slate going, "Oh, John Gray is going to be chalk." Well, no, he's not pitching today.
Cody Bradford,
right? So you have to figure how many pitches is he going to pitch, and then we have to wait obviously on early lineups with because people will be taking a rest day or something. So I'm sitting here going,
rest day.
Yeah, well, typically a day game after a night game, you get a different catcher or something. Someone.
Oh, rest day. I thought you said a breast day.
I didn't say a breast day.
Devin, did you hear that too, or is that just me?
Family show, Dean. Family show.
I don't want to get
Blender said it.
Are there things that Dean on the injury report? Is anyone out with a breast? Is anyone out with a breast?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but
I can't sit like this the whole show. We're gonna do this the whole. I don't care. I'm gonna be large. I'm gonna be big. I can't do this. I'm practically Indian style on the floor.
Well, get yourself a beanbag chair. It makes things much easier.
Right. What's so? Get a better chair. What are you doing?
We have a
short as hell.
We do have like you said, DK slate starts at 2:05. Detroit at Texas. We have Cody Bradford throwing baseballs. We do have lineups actually for that game, and we might or almost definitely not going to get lineups for every single game. I'm trying to see if there's anything goofy. Oh, Jankowski's batting second, so no Corey Seager for Texas. Corey Seager he's got a breast day. He's out with a breast.
All that'll do is just make Wander Franco even chalkier.
Yeah,
I viewed this slate as, dude. You have unlimited salary this slate. I mean, this is almost stupid. So on the DK slate, at least, I don't know about the FanDuel one. Like Jose Ramirez, me hella chalky, Wander Franco, Shohei Ohtani, Corbin Carroll. Like I've been running lineups through Lineup HQ, and I mean, good luck. I mean, like I may be leaving money on the table in a lot of lineups because we take a look at pitching. You can spend up at pitching, but the projection differences between pitchers, like there's like a 5.6 point difference between like all the pitchers, practically all the pitchers, regardless of price. So I mean, even Cody Bradford projects decently for 4K, and Brandon Fat, is that how you pronounce his name? Fat?
It's Fought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did I miss the memo? Did I miss there's probably some
it's a tricky one
crunch time where there was 12 minutes of talk about how fat he is, right?
Well, you're gonna hear Dave Potts is gonna come on later. He's gonna call him P-Fat. I promise you that's how he's gonna pronounce him.
Oh, P-Fat.
But it is Brandon Fought.
I just don't want to
big time prospect.
I don't want to be accused. Don't take this clip. I'm not fat phobic. Okay. There's nothing if he's fat.
Thank you for clarifying.
What is it? I'm gonna look up Brandon. What is
Fought.
it? Brandon Fought?
Yeah, Fought.
Fought?
Yeah.
What are his
what's his origin?
Oh, no, he's 6'4" and 220 pounds.
Oh, you thought he was going to be like Daniel Vogelbach out there in the mound? Is that what you're
right? Yeah, I don't know. That's what I said. He should be called Brandon Svelte. Brandon Svelte instead of Brandon Fat.
He's ironically named. I thought you were trying to figure out what his origin, like what kind of background would have such an interesting last name. But all right, you went a different route. Yeah, the biggest projection
he was born where I am. He's born in Louisville.
Well, there you go. Maybe they're your neighbors for all you know.
Well, obviously we can't be. He's pitching tonight.
There's no way you talk to your neighbors. You're
no, I know. I don't. Why would I? No. Why would I ever talk to anyone?
There's no chance you associate with your neighbors. Shane Bieber, who's been like pretty bad by his standards, is the highest projected player, at least according to the MLB Plate IQ projections. I don't have the bat up. It sounds like you're quoting the bat. I imagine it's somewhat similar.
Bat he has the highest raw projection, but it's not that much higher than. No, Lynn has the highest raw projection. That's what I said.
Close.
Like, the difference, like right now, and obviously lineups will change, so that this will change a little bit. Lynn at 16, Bieber at 15.76, then Sandoval at like 15, and then Clark Schmidt at 14, and then we got like Bradford, Fat, whatever. Fought, right? Hogan Harris, Reese Olson, like all those like 10 to 12 or something, but they're really cheap.
As a wrestling guy, do you want to roster Hogan Harris more or less? What's your instinct?
It depends. Is it Hollywood Hogan Harris or is it red and yellow? Is it classic Hulk Hogan Harris?
It's green and white.
Green and white.
He plays for the Athletics.
Right. Well, then I don't know. Then I can't write. If he doesn't get the right cut, it's either he's black and white for the NWO,
sure,
or he's red and yellow for Hulkamania. And if he's neither, then obviously, just he's Horace Hogan, which is his brother, he was a bad wrestler.
Mr. Gerg says fought the Rays and the Rays won. So there you go. All right. So yeah, basically Bieber and Lynn, essentially the same projection. Clark Schmidt takes on the Athletics a day after we saw a perfect game last night, which I don't want to tilt things too hard, but for like 10 minutes of that slate, 20 minutes of that slate, we were having a really good time last night until Domingo Germán. If the other person in that game got a perfect game, oh man, we would be calling out today, Blender. We would be sick for no particular reason. But yeah, and that was kind of a bummer. Last night, fun slate, but it's DFS, Blender. We're back to zero.
You know
right?
what I was glad? You know what I was glad for yesterday?
What's that?
Domingo Germán finally found out that it's so much easier to beat the crap out of the A's than his own girlfriend.
Yeah. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Congratulations to Domingo Germán for his perfect game. Does it even count? Is there an asterisk that it's against the A's? I don't know. I guess we'll take it up with the authorities there. But yeah, Clark Schmidt takes on the Athletics, and
I wouldn't be surprised, Dean, we're going through pitching. I would not be shocked if any of these pitchers gave up 10 earned runs. Like, you wouldn't be shocked.
Well, wait. If they give 10 earned runs, they'd be out of the game. They wouldn't.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you go, oh, well, Lance Lynn is projected to bet. Shane Bieber is, like, I wouldn't be shocked if, like, well, Patrick Sandoval against the White Sox, like, his splits would, like, dude, like, he could give up 5 earned runs in the first inning. I mean, like, all of these
10. Pitchers, there is a bullpen. All these teams have a bullpen.
Of course, but you know what I mean. It's like, okay, they project well, but their range of outcomes could be -6 also. And don't go crying home to mama if you know you roster a guy that projects. They're all. I mean, the fact that Zach Greinke isn't all that lower projected than half the pitchers should say something, because like Zach Greinke pretty much has no ceiling at 6,600. Yet there is a world. Look at the totals on the slate. Texas 5, Cleveland has almost a 5 total. The Yankees have almost a 5 total. Both the Rays and the Diamondbacks have 5 totals. The Angels have almost a 5 total. Like we should expect offense at least the DraftKings slate. We should expect this slate is, I think, more about offense and less about just if you just roster 2 pitchers on DraftKings and hopefully they don't kill you. Like, that's what it feels like. That the slate is like, you may be able to win with different stacks. Like, there may be 3 or 4 teams in the slate that put up 6, 7, 8 runs. And as long as you have one of those and not a pitcher with like 0 points, I think that's more of what you're looking at this slate.
We have a fire emoji in Kansas City, by the way, 50 game sample. An increase in home runs of 12%, increase in runs at almost 16%.
Have we enacted the eggplant emoji? Did Roth do that yet? 12% home run increase.
That should be eggplant worthy. Yeah, we let Roth know, but like, you know, there's a memo for a lot of things. There's there's a suggestion box.
The development team. Do I have to go into Slack and let the development team know that we need to add?
I just want to see how you present that. But yes,
whatever the limit, because whatever the fire emoji is, whatever percentage for home runs, we have to put the dong emoji up and whatever, and like.
I think we have a max like 1 emoji per game is what's going on, and like Roth has to decide between the fire emoji and whatever you're suggesting. So
I want to make sure that in my time here at RotoGrinders, that my contributions that I'm most proudest of is, 1, the only in stacks button in Lineup HQ. Which if you tune into the pregame show, we would show you how to use that. And
that was a legit suggestion by you. That was you that took care of that.
Yeah, me and I think Cheese also, but I mean both of us are like this would be incredibly useful. I don't think any other lineup builder has that functionality. So you don't have to make like a million groups in order to get it accomplished. But I'd be even prouder of Weather Edge having the eggplant for increased home runs. And then if it's minus like 30% for home runs, I don't know. Then it's like the peach emoji. It has to be like whatever the opposite of an eggplant is, or some type of wilted flower or something like that. Something.
Sure, I hear where you're going. Yeah, so it's going to be hot today in Kansas City. Just a heads up. Not the best ballpark. Obviously,
the rest is. Are we? Is that what we're
doing? Dean, family show, Dean. Come on, man. Get your head out of the gutter.
You didn't even say it before, and you did. And
I was thinking of the emojis, and I got my emojis confused in my head. I was thinking about Corey Seager. I hope he's well, by the way. I hope Corey Seager's well. I sent him a condolence card. But it's going to be hot today. Typically not the best ballpark to bang out homers in Kansas City, but again, there is a potential increase. Almost 100 degrees. Looks like we're technically at like 99 or so. So, certainly note that Cleveland got there yesterday. We'll see if they get there today. Zach Greinke, 40 years old, Greinke, whatever he is at this point. The junk he throws, it's not going to be full in the hitters. We're looking at actually an 18% carry rate. I thought it would be lower. Foth is so weird because when he came up, he got his face fully punched in. He was horrendous. Gave up over 3 homers per 9 in 23 innings. That's an outrageous number. And it's only like a 20% homer to fly ball. It's not that insane. He went down to the minors and he was good again, right? And this guy came up as a really, really much hyped prospect. We'll see if he's better the second time around. You have to assume he can't be much worse, unless, like you suggest, it's possible he gives up 10 runs. I guess he could. I don't think that's likely. But, Yeah, do you have a favorite pairing? Ownership-wise, we're looking at Bieber at number 1, who's like not been great this year, certainly by Bieber standards. His K rates on the season is down to 18.5%. This is a guy that won a Cy Young. I'm pretty sure he won a Cy Young not too long ago. That's horrendous.
To me,
the ERAs
down to the stats that I play. I mean,
yeah,
I think I'm I'm from my initial run. I think I'm much less likely to play Bieber because I'm getting Kansas City from a stack perspective, and I think if I'm getting because I mean they're so cheap. I mean if we take a look at Kansas City, I mean outside of like Witt and Perez, like they're I mean outside of Witt Perez, their lineup is kind of
it's terrible.
Not much of a major league roster, right? Exactly, but. I mean, Bieber's strikeouts have been down significantly.
Tremendously.
So, I mean, right. And if it's going to be 98 degrees there, and so many people, I mean, I assume Bieber's going to be 30+% owned. More people are going to be playing the Guardians. I mean, if I could play the Royals and get some extra leverage by doing that, I think I'm more likely to play the Royals than Bieber. But the question comes in, like this is what I was talking about before. Well, if you don't play Bieber, it's like, oh, well, do you want to play Lance Lynn against the Angels? I don't. And then you go, do you want to play Sandoval against the White Sox? It's like, I don't. And then the next thing you know, you're rostering relief pitchers and hoping for not negative points. I mean, like it gets to a point where you have to roster 2 pitchers. So to me, my pitching selection, when I'm playing 5 lineups, it's really just going to come down to what stacks that I'm playing. And whatever stacks I'm not playing, I'm more likely to have the pitcher against them.
Lance Lynn, not too long ago, a couple starts ago, had that 16 strikeout performance against Seattle. Was just what a bizarre outlier. Came back against Boston, and he was okay against Boston. He's given up a ton of runs this year. I would say he's been unlucky. He has to be unlucky, right? Let's see, 6.4 ERA. Yeah, his SIERA is below 4. His BABIP is 340. So like he's not as bad as he's been. We'll say that 61% left on base is a little bit unfortunate as well. But it's not that Lance Lynn's great. It's just that you got to roster 2 of these guys, and you can't just say no, he's bad. No. DK, they have to. You need to submit 2 pitchers in order for them to accept your lineup. You can't just keep saying no. Eventually, you have to say yes to 2 of these guys, and the list it's pretty underwhelming. Let's see, as far as ownership and this stuff, like you said, it's going to change based upon how lineups come out and things like that. But currently, this is on DK where you got to roster 2 of these dudes. Bieber at 43%, the Biebs, who's historically a good pitcher, and this year he's fallen off, but he's facing that terrible Kansas City lineup. You have Lynn, and the Angels are kind of similar to KC in the it's different players, but we talked about Witt and Perez and then a bunch of dudes. The Angels are, it's Trout and Ohtani and a bunch of dudes. Lynn is getting 38% ownership. Clark Schmidt against that terrible Oakland team at 28%. Sandoval at 24% against the White Sox, who aren't very good. And then these people that they just made up. Reese Olson, I'm told, is a person who we throwing baseballs today against Texas. I don't want to pick on Texas. I'm not making enough lineups to roster Reese Olson. I'm just not doing that. Now, that lineup is weakened a little bit with Jankowski, and they're taking the place of Seager. I guess that's not a direct move, is it? Because Jankowski is an outfielder, and Seager is just shortstop. But something else maybe goofy is happening. Is there 2 guys that are sitting for Texas? Semien, Jankowski, Lau, Garcia, Young, Tavares, Duran, Garver, and Josh Smith. The other Heim is not playing either. I guess Garver is the catcher, but it does look a little bit different.
From the looks of my stacks, I think I'm more likely to play. I'm not getting much Texas, not getting much Oakland. They're down further. So like it really comes down to who's pitching against. Like basically like Cody Bradford, Reese Olson, and then the thing about the White Sox Angels game, like the Lynn I think from a ceiling perspective, Lynn and Sandoval have high ceilings because both these lineups have a lot of strikeouts in them, but they also have power in them. So like, if someone gets into trouble and next thing you know, there's a 3-run home run or like that they're liable for that, but they're also like both these pitchers, you can get 8+ strikeouts at a Lynn or Sandoval, with these lineups. So I think it's a little bit higher variance situation in the Chicago, the White Sox Angels game. That from my initial look on the lineups that I'm building on DraftKings with at least the starting lineups that are currently out, I think my pool of pitching is going to be to not play Bieber and play Clark Schmidt against Oakland.
Yeah.
Play Cody Bradford at 4K or Reese Olson in that Tigers-Rangers game, and then Lynn and Sandoval as obviously they're more expensive, and then build around that. I think to me, especially when the projections, the median projections for Bieber, don't make the extra money even worth spending. It's okay, do you need to? I don't, dude, I don't even think you need to spend all your. I mean, this is the type of slate that leaving 3 or 4K on the table, no matter who you roster, is perfectly
on your main lineup though, or is that something you do in your single entry contest? Leave 4K. Yeah, you're talking about.
You can. Yeah. But in my single entry lineup, I'm more likely to build a 5X lineup and then shove in Ohtani in one of the spots, or shove in Corbin Carroll. Spend the money for a really premium hitter, right? Jose Ramirez in the third base spot rather than use a $2,200 garbage guy in your stack. I could see doing that. Now, I don't know what's going on in the chat when we're talking about furry.
I do know what's going on.
We got to jump in here, yeah.
So I actually know about this because I've seen McCutchen talk about this, and no judging, but Pittsburgh, for whatever reason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can explain this.
Start from the top,
listening. They don't understand what we're talking about. Why we're talking about furries.
Well, so Pittsburgh, for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, but Pittsburgh is the biggest furry convention every single year in the United States is in Pittsburgh. That's my understanding. I remember I saw a thing on this. They're very open in Pittsburgh.
About McCutchen's BVF.
So McCutchen would tweet about them, right? I know he would tweet about them, and I guess I think at first he didn't know, he wasn't aware that was a thing, and they just run around the city. They take over the city. The furries. I was gonna say come in, but maybe that's where they are. They just happen to show themselves.
How many are there to take over? I mean,
how many do you need to take over? Pittsburgh's a pretty big city, but a couple thousand.
Have you seen that movie World War Z?
World War F. Yeah. So Pittsburgh has the biggest furry convention in the United States, and by the way, this game is on only the FanDuel slate. This is not.
Can you explain to the audience what furries are?
Family show.
That wants to introduce breasts in
family show.
Every conversation.
Do you need an explanation? You're talking about for the audience.
No, I'm talking about for the audience. I know it.
Yeah.
I would have to venture most of the audience would probably know what furries are at this point.
Are you saying that, Devin, because people that play DFS are kind of hermits that may have a predilection?
Well, I can answer this.
In furry action.
I can answer this with some confidence. Our subscriber base, the demographics are in an age range that would tell me that they probably know about this by now.
There was an episode of Entourage I remember that circled around. It's been a long time since I've seen that show, and that show, I'm not here to endorse that show necessarily. It really fell off the back years. But that was a major plot line. But the point is that Pittsburgh, there's going to be a lot of furries running around. I don't know if they actually go to the game, but they're around the surrounding parts of the city.
Day. Maybe that's how they get people to the stadium. It's furry day.
Well, it's a Thursday afternoon. There's going to be very few people in that game in that ballpark today.
What bobbleheads did they go with on that day?
And this is just for the FanDuel slate. So basically,
yes.
Basically, the furry dynamics only exist for the very early slate.
Let me just touch on some comments here in chat. Jared, if you don't know, save yourself. Yes. Cloaked misborn.
If everybody's having a good time, let them have a good time.
No shame. But not my cup of tea.
Enjoy yourself.
I teach high school. There's a furry club. Let's just say the kids in that club are a little out there. And Chris, by the way, if McCutchen hits a home run today, come back and chat later on today for our 5 Eastern show, and we'll get you some free premium.
So so basically that's the stat. It's the only thing that has to do with furries is that for some reason,
look at this stat line: 15 games when they're in town, 26 hits, 3 home runs, 7 doubles, 9 RBIs, 11 runs.
I have a question. How did this become what data scientist said?
I'm telling you, I think McCutchen was tweeting about it. And people started to notice whenever.
Like I understand, like, how does this guy do on Wednesdays, which doesn't matter, right?
Well, how did we find out about Kyler Murray playing Call of Duty and doing terrible on those weekends? But they had double.
I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody saw him online one day, like same story.
Is this very similar to the Harden and the strip clubs?
Probably.
Like James Harden,
they're all kind of
in cities that have good strip clubs.
So they asked McCutcheon about it. Like, basically, he said he would promote it. Come out to the ballpark. There should be a furry night. I don't think there's an official furry night.
This is a mainstream thing. So, like, reporters literally asked him about it.
Yeah, I just pulled up a quote. The internet's wild. It's amazing. You just type anything in and something will pop up. But
Pittsburgh front office is like, ugh.
Like, there's no way McCutcheon was sitting today. Like, he's an older guy. It's a day game, but he's got to give it a go. He has to play because it's a. And I don't know why would they hold a convention on a Thursday?
Maybe it's all weekend. Like, maybe they come in on Thursday and they're there for the whole weekend.
All right, well, stack Pittsburgh all weekend. There you go. I'm not sure. I've not seen the.
You know what you should do? You should tail the furries.
There you go.
Whatever they're betting on, tail them. Right.
We got a Cleveland lineup, by the way. Okay? Quan, Rosario, J-Ram, Naylor, Bell, Jimenez, Brennan, Straw, and Cam Gallagher. So it's not going to be. We saw Naylor break out, the catcher. Broke out last night. He's going to be sitting today. Let's see. No Yankees, A's, Tampa, or Arizona, Chicago, and the Angels. And we're just not going to get that. And that's why we're having two different conversations. I want to bring Fanduel in, and they're going to talk about Fanduel in the crunch time about a half hour as well. That's the reason why we're on this early. San Diego, is that their normal lineup? Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth, Odor, Kim, Grisham, and Nola. I believe that's pretty standard against righties. I don't think I'm missing anything. Grossman not playing for Texas, by the way. Josh Smith, I would say, is in there for Grossman. Detroit's lineup looks, God, I think it's pretty standard. Bierling, Torkelson, Ibanez.
Horrible. It's
yeah. Well, it's because you look at it and it's a mismatch. Like, man, that's terrible. Oh wait, that's the best they can do.
Well, you don't know Eric Haas today, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, sure.
Matters.
Yeah. Rogers is the only. He's going to be catching for him. All right. Just want to get that out of the way. Is there I was running. You ran some optimals and you were saying that optimals are actually suggesting to leave 2 or 3K because that's not what I have.
I'm not saying optimals. I'm just saying you can. I'm just saying that the difference between lineups, like a lot of lineups that I'm running that are like 5X, which is with some one-offs. Like I'm getting a lot of Jose Ramirez, Shohei Ohtani, Bobby Witt, right? The scarce position, like third and short, right? You're getting a lot of these guys. Gleyber Torres at second base, because you have the money for the raw points. So like some of these lineups that I'm like, you give up like 2 or 3 points in projection, and you're leaving like 4,000 on the table. And in baseball, in an event-driven sport, 2 or 3 points in median projection don't really mean all that much. So, like a lot of lineups that leave money on the table, a decent amount, are not that dramatically worse than ones that do.
So here's like one of the quandaries of the slate. You kind of referenced it before. You're talking about, hey, you can leave 3K in the table. So basically, how do you not play? You have 3K left. How do you not say, well, I'm going to swap in? I have a Cleveland stack. I'm going to swap in Ohtani for Quan. Like, of course. Why would I do that? How do you keep yourself from doing that? Or do you just say,
don't do it? What? Do you not have the willpower, Dean?
Well, I'm not sure if you're aware, Blender, but Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player of the current time, right? And Quan, all he does is hit singles, basically.
Yeah, but on any given day, Ohtani could go 0 for 4.
Yes.
And Quan could have 16 points through a double and some runs and a stolen base. I mean, that's the variance of baseball. So,
and how do you decide when to do that, when not to do that? Is it based upon the overall ownership of your lineup? And you're saying, well, now if we bring in Ohtani, who's like well positioned lefty here against Lynn, and like you said, of course, like we always talk about this of baseball, the worst Cam Gallagher. Like Cam Gallagher could be the best hitter on this slate. That's possible. And that's unlike you mentioned basketball. Unlike that's just not going to happen in basketball. You'll never see.
It's much, much less likely. It's not.
I mean, give me the scenario where the basketball's version of Cam Gallagher is the best scoring player in the slate. Like a lot of shenanigans, a lot of goofy stuff really has to happen, raw points wise. But yeah, it's a different conversation. But it could happen. It could happen. And just
Cloak Mistborn in chat says how far off optimal and comfortable playing. Well, I mean, it's in GBP, it's more not the optimal with like 8 one-offs. It's the optimal off a 5-man stack. Like, dude, depending on the size of the slate, like for this 5-game slate, I mean, 30. I mean, you can. I mean, because everything is correlated. If you're going to play a
2
stack,
plus homers.
what?
2 plus homers.
Yeah, 2 plus, right. But not even 2 plus homers. It's like if you have a stack, remember, you're getting more at bats the more that they score runs. So, like, if you play, for instance, if you played an Oakland stack today, and it's 30 points lower projected than some other stack lineup, I mean, Oakland you get a single in 1 inning. You get a single for 3 points. You get a stolen base. There you go. Now you're up to 8 points. Someone drives them in. So you get 2 points for the run. Now that's 10 points, plus the 3 points for the single. That's 13, plus the RBI, which is now 15. The next person hits a solo home run. That's now 29 points. I mean, and then they continue to get at bats. So, like, you're getting the guy that was projected to only get 4 at bats now gets 5 at bats. Plate appearances wise, like, it's so easy to make up median projection in baseball because of how event driven and correlated it is. So don't be that afraid of, leaving more projection on the table for the sake of ownership. And in large field contests, that benefits you more than in small field contests. So, like, in small field ones, I'm probably not giving up 30, 40 points in projection, but, because I don't need the nuts. I don't need that high of a lineup. But in the relay throw, like the $15 whatever, the lottery, like, yeah, you want to try to get the most, a really high score. So the more correlation and leverage that you add to your lineup, the better it is for you. So I don't need to win the 121 by 70 points. So like I'm not as concerned about, like, I'm probably not playing the A's in the 121.
Yeah.
But to play in the large field, it's absolutely viable. Doesn't mean I'm doing that today with 5 lineups, but any stack in the large field, there's no team that's off the board on especially in a 5-game slate.
Yeah, I'm in the 121 as well. Have you decided? I've not decided officially where I'm at as far as what I'm going to roster stack-wise. Like, the shorter the slate, the goofier I'm willing to be, but, like, goofier without being outrageous in, like, the 121. But just as far as, like, I'm okay rostering a hitter against my pitcher if it comes down to it. I'm okay not going 5-3. I know you're supposed to. That's the rule. That's the law.
You don't have to. Come on. Don't put words in my mouth.
Well, just like you make fun of the 1-1, 1-1, 1-1.
Right, of course, right. But at least I'm funny. Yeah. You're not.
Well, wait. Only you can go that route. I'm not.
Got him.
We saw it the other day. People like to point out to me whenever it happens, when somebody did take down one of the big tournaments with, I believe, a 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, which that makes me proud.
To them. I mean, like, it's just like you could do it and have
somewhere
fun
like your ear starts hurting or something. Your spleen starts hurting.
I feel like you feel pain. Bad players to win, Dean. I want the bad players to win. When I see, like the Utica winning first, we're not getting that money back. When someone's, playing like pinch hitters and relief pitchers and somehow gets there, like, good. I'm glad that guy won. You
mentioned relief pitchers. Is this slate goofy enough to consider one? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
From what I can gather, I think that from a stack perspective, I think Arizona and Cleveland are going to be the 2 most owned stacks on the slate, because obviously they project well. They have high team totals, and you're probably not playing Yanni Chirinos as the long reliever, and Greinke. I don't think many people are going to play Zach Greinke. So if you want to play the stack game, Dean, I ran, and this is where it comes down to where I said that I think there's multiple paths to winning first, and it's just a matter of just avoiding landmines at starting pitcher, because let me tell you, there's I would consider there to be bucket 1 or tier 1.
We're doing the buckets.
We're doing the buckets. So there's the first bucket, then there's
guessing.
Then there's the second bucket, and then there's like 3 distinct buckets, and the first bucket actually has more teams than you think.
Okay, so we're playing the bucket game.
Right, the bucket game.
And I'm assuming you did not include the early San Diego,
this is for
Pittsburgh
DraftKings. This is the
furry game.
5-game slate on DraftKings.
Okay. Cleveland's in bucket 1.
Cleveland's number 2 overall. And this is when I'm going. This has nothing to do with ownership. This just has to do with building a 5-man stack lineup with the median projection according to the like the bat projection.
I think Arizona's got to be in bucket 1.
Yes, but Arizona is number 1. Cleveland is number 2. They're both in the top bucket, but other teams are also close enough to them that they should also be in the top bucket.
By the way, Yanni Chirinos this year, his numbers are pretty wild. He's the expected long man for Tampa. You're never really certain how Tampa does their stuff, but it seems like he's expected to be the guy. This year, his K rate, and it's not a full 100+ innings, but in 48 innings, Blender, his K rate is 11.6%. That's
he's a ground ball pitcher. What do you expect?
What doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to be. You could be a guy that strikes out more than 11% of hitters and also get ground balls.
Well, most ground ball pitchers aren't strikeout pitchers because of the way that they pitch. That's the purpose of that.
45% ground balls this year for what it's worth. But that's, I mean, even Greinke has 18% Ks. Chirinos, man. And he's got an ERA of 3.91, but a Sierra of 5.39. His left on base about 70%, but his BABIP, speaking of ground balls, BABIP's been in his favor, 225. His homer to fly ball is 8.6%. So, I mean, we might have a regression monster candidate here, is all I'm saying for Chirinos. Arizona, assuming they run out their regular lineup, I like them a good bit. You talk about them; they're not going to be sneaky per se. It's already a 5-game slate. It's pretty small as is. 5 total for Arizona, I believe. That's tied with Cleveland. New York is a 5 total, almost a 5 total.
Right.
Against
there are
Hollywood,
5
Hogan, Harris.
Right, Dean. There are 5 teams in the top bucket, and 4 out of the 5 are teams with high totals, and 1 isn't a high total.
Okay, so Arizona, 4 out of the 5. I feel like your top bucket's not being very selective. That's interesting.
My top bucket has 5 teams in it. My second
half
bucket
the slate
has and my second bucket has 2 teams in it.
Okay, so which 3 teams are not in those buckets is the question.
I think the 3 teams that are easily not in the buckets are
Detroit, Oakland.
Right, Detroit, Oakland, and Texas.
Texas is surprising. Texas not in the bucket. They're the 8th out of 10.
Yeah.
Corey Seager, it matters that much, huh? That's, by the way, that's when Cardi took his shots at Texas when Seager was not in the lineup. I know people like to forget that.
But it's also remember, this also is adjusted for salary. I mean, when you have Semien at 5,800 and Adolis Garcia at 5,500 and they don't project that well, I mean, like, that's what happened. So this is not just like raw points, is in relation to salary as well.
All right. So
you eliminate those 3 teams, then you have 2 buckets. You have 5 and 1 in the top bucket and 2 in the second. 2 just underneath in the second.
I think you got KC in the first one just because of that weather.
KC's the only one with the not a high total that's in the first bucket. I have Arizona, Cleveland, Kansas City, New York Yankees, and the Rays. That is the top bucket because I have the top projected 5-man stack for Arizona at 101.69, Cleveland at 101.51, Kansas City at 100.74, Yankees at 100.49, and the Rays at 100.30. And then just underneath that is the Angels and the White Sox. And they're both at one's at 98.91 and one's at 97.03. Then after that, you'd go down to Oakland, which is like 95, and Texas, which is 96.
So what are you doing with that information?
I'm playing Les Bieber and playing the Royals. Because I have to assume that with Bieber,
full stack,
Bieber's ownership is going to go up and the Royals' ownership is not going to be as high as it should be.
Are they the 3 or are they the 5 as far as that you're playing Kansas City?
5 man. Come on, take a chance, Dean.
I mean, you could play 3 and still be all right, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Will I play Kansas City as my 121 stack? I don't know yet.
That's
this is also, let me
yeah.
put a little asterisk on it. We don't have all the lineups yet. I mean, we're literally staying here. You know, we don't have the Yankees at the A's, Rays, Diamondbacks, White Sox, and Angels lineups. I mean, we just this could obviously change, right? We see Trout's off. Okay, Ohtani's dead. You don't know what happens. You don't know. I'm not saying he'll be dead, but maybe he takes a day off. I don't know. Maybe hey, Dean, we don't know. We don't want to judge. First, I want to say this. This is without judgment. You don't know what players that were originally supposed to be in lineups are going to be at the furry convention.
Well,
right?
I mean, they're playing. It's not going to be in the DraftKings unless I can't imagine somebody that's like a Kansas City Royals.
No. What happens if they?
Are you suggesting Corey Seager is like, hey, I got to go to Pittsburgh?
Right, charter flight to Pittsburgh. They got it. You said it's the biggest furry convention of the year in the country.
Yeah.
You have so many Look how many players are on the slate. There's 9 batters plus a pitcher, right? There's 10 people per team. There's 10 teams on the slate. There's 100 people.
So what percentage of the population is a furry? Like 1%? So like
1%, there's one dude here that either they're taking the day off to go to the furry convention, or they're really, really upset that they have to play baseball today instead of going to the furry convention.
If you were to partake, which animal would you go with? Yeah, have you thought this out? Have you thought this through just yet?
What animal? I mean, I don't like dressing up at all. So something simple, like one of those like hairless cats, those Sphinx cats or something. Right? So all I have to do.
Blinder, you're so close to that already.
I could just go as myself then, right?
Probably McCutcheon did tweet out at 9:28 this morning, just one word: furries. I dropped it in chat. It's in the chat.
Daniel Hutchin, Dirty Tanner said a hairless cat is literally not furry.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll stand out.
Devin's a big cat guy. You like all cats, I'm sure. But if you had your druthers, if you're picking one out, there's a lineup. But we leaning towards the hairless cat or the non-hairless cat?
If I had my druthers, which, Dean, my God, you got to update your cat vocabulary.
Well, I was on the trolley when somebody asked me about that.
That was before my time, for sure. No, I've actually had hairless cats before. They are very weird. They're like oily. Like if you think about it, like cats have hair that absorbs the oil. So like you go pet a cat that doesn't have hair, it's just like grimy in your hands. It's not the most pleasant experience. No.
But they do look like old men.
They look like old men. Yes, I look like a lot of things that I probably shouldn't say on this show. But yes, they don't look great.
We've already been demonetized because of Dean's arrest session.
I'm just reading tweets. That's all I'm doing. I don't point fingers at me necessarily. We do have 15 minutes till crunch time comes in. Crunch time, chief neurologist Kevin Roth. You have Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire. You think Potts is aware of the furry convention? He's like,
I know Roth is.
He might be.
I think Roth isn't.
Roth would partake. I think Roth. We're
gonna ask him when he shows up. We're gonna see. As Devin has hashtag furry factor in the chat. We're gonna see if Roth Weather Edge. If we could, does it account for the furry factor?
Alex in the chat says he's playing the Beebs with the Angels. So that's one way of playing Bieber, a little bit different with the Angels. Is that a full stack of the Angels? We don't have a lot of just yet, but
what's your obsession with if it's a full stack or he's playing the Angels? He's playing a bunch of them.
It's a different lineup, Bill. If it's 3 Angels or if it's 5 Angels, right? Is Tony Danza in the lineup or not? That's what I'm asking.
I think if you're playing a 5-man stack of the Angels, you probably should be playing at least one of Ohtani or Trout.
Well, yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, but people do that. But hey, there are plenty of people that the Angels are going to score 10 runs today, but Ohtani and Trout are the ones that are going like 0 for 5.
You might want to play the good player,
right? It's most likely that if that 5-man stack wins, like the better hitter, like one of the better hitters is going to be involved in getting a bunch of points. Maybe not both of them, but at least one of them.
But devil's advocate, you play a stack without those two, you're going to be unique.
Yeah, and also dead last.
You're also going to be unique if you build your lineups 1-1-1-1 while you're wearing a cat costume.
I do love that Dean's asking these questions about the stack types because he's showing his cards. He's like, is it the right stack or the wrong stack?
I just like to ask Blender stack questions because he's going to give you a good answer, and it's a well thought out answer as well.
I'm going to give you the correct answer.
Well, it's subjective.
People.
So this they had that game in Coors where the Angels put up 25 runs and Ohtani was like the worst hitter in the team. I mean, you always point to an instance, like we said, no matter how great you are, there's gonna be a ton of games where you just do basically nothing.
McCutcheon's gonna go 0 for 5 today. And people are going to be like, "What about the furry fact?"
Stop it, Blender! Don't you speak this into its existence.
I'm trying. Am I trying to mush it? What is that? What type of mush is that?
You're trying to miswield Dean's abilities here.
Do you think Andrew McCutcheon is going to be overowned because of the furry fact?
Well, I can only hope so. I can only hope so.
It's only on the Fanduel slate, and there's only 3 games in the Fanduel slate, so he's going to grab some ownership. He just kind of sort of has to. Musgrove's pitching, and he's one of the better pitchers. You know, if anything, by default. Luis Ortiz, and there's Reese Olson and Cody Bradford, and we have Bieber and Greinke. I'm trying to see. I'm pulling up the Fanduel stuff. I think Bieber is the most popular pitcher over there. He is at 41%, Musgrove at 37%. That's, just because you got to pick one of these 6 guys, and 4 of them are Bradford, Greinke, Ortiz, and Olson. By the way, Venn diagram with like the Marvel universe and furries. I'm just gonna. TJ's the chalk. How do we overlook that? Most likely TJ. He's got like a cat costume in it. No judging. By all means, everybody having a good time, enjoy yourself. But he's got something lurking in that, and he's got an apparatus. There's a lot of nonsense in that room. He probably has one available.
Can I get a clarification? I was under the impression that furries aren't just people that dress up as in animal costumes. It's that they enjoy.
They partake, yeah.
Right.
I believe. I'm not sure if there's like a line, like there's some that do and some that don't, but I feel like that's part of the gig. Yeah. They partake in some activities.
Is it like? Is there like an app or something? Do they like what?
Well, what would the app be like if you want to find your local furry?
Family show. Family show.
TJ in chat, I knew he would pop his head up. What's up, TJ? TJ in the bullpen, we heard about 10 minutes or so. He's saying the Venn diagram is 2 different circles. I disagree. I feel like people are either, I'm not saying it's one circle, but I feel like there's somewhat of a correlation is all I'm suggesting.
I know that they're our sponsor, but Devin, you should be more upset if FanDuel did not put this game on their slate and they just had the same slate as DraftKings. We'd have never been talking about any of this.
Yeah, this is true. And I got a McCutcheon home run bet on FanDuel for plus 680. They have no idea about the furry factor.
Is that that's actually pretty good. Did you go to Scores and Odds and see if that's
I haven't checked it. I was a jabroni. I didn't even check the market.
You just assume it's plus EV no matter where it is, that the price has to be.
Yeah, because I'm a
algorithm doesn't factor in the furries. The algorithm doesn't know. It's not all knowing when it comes to that.
I think a better bet would have been the total bases though, because he has all those hits, so maybe like. So whatever the over a half or over 1.5 total bases.
The hits, 2 hits bets, those are fun. I usually go.
Grant, why isn't this? Why are we having YouTube shorts with Andrew McCutcheon?
We got to get Grant into a furry costume. That's the next.
You know how the SEO on that.
He was a former mascot.
Completely new audience.
Does
Grant
he have
was the mascot of his high school or college?
Does he still have the costume still?
I don't know, but he told me some interesting stories about where he told me them getting confidence. So we'll discuss off air. Caesars, by the way, has McCutcheon to homer at 420, but FanDuel currently at 630, and our projected number is plus 669. So it's actually, not a bad bet there, Devin. And again, this is the algorithm knowing nothing about the furries, I imagine.
Or maybe
if it did, though.
No, obviously it knows and it doesn't care. Let's not mislead people. It knows about it. It just doesn't matter.
All right. We got
is there a column in Lineup HQ for the furry factor? No, then it probably doesn't.
Well, no, you wouldn't build it for one day for one team like that.
Why are we accounting for it in everything?
But why would you account for it in
if it has such big predictive power? We should have a tool on RotoGrinders.
No,
we have the player projections. We have the starting lineups page. We have the alerts. We have Weather Edge. We have the expert rankings. You should obviously sign up to RotoGrinders Premium. Right? Click on that link in the description. Get $10 off your first month and get all of the resources we have. There needs to be a schedule for when the furry conventions are and in what cities, and then how they affect and back test that and regress all the stats based on that.
So one person signed up. They have all the goodies, the bells, the whistles, but they're like, what you need to add, if I may, one day a year is it the entire season and like the box?
Who says, Dean, that it's not just this convention? Maybe
this is the biggest one.
There are smaller conventions that we don't know about. And
we care about the Super Bowl. We don't care about USFL.
You never know.
Nobody cares. The 17th biggest furry convention in Dubuque, Iowa. Get excited.
Why isn't Jimino on this? Isn't that his job to figure this stuff out?
I don't know. I mean, he's got a list of things. He's got a lot in his plate. All right.
Screw preseason NFL. We need to know. We need to know. Because people did the hard. Because the thing, I'm joking, but people like some data scientists or something did the thing with the harden and the strip clubs. Like they actually did. Like,
oh, really?
They look back to all of they did all of that. Of course, it doesn't matter, but I mean, they at least did it as a joke, right? So there could be
like Houston,
some
Atlanta, Miami. Well, we have to determine which. That's a whole other conversation. I'm trying to think what the most popular destination is.
I think it was Atlanta. Is very well known for their strip clubs, and he does.
Yeah, there was Patrick Ewing was like on trial many years. There was some kind of weird. There was some kind of trial. He wasn't on trial, but he was a witness for something. And I think it was in regards to like the Atlanta nightlife. Yeah, I don't know why I remember that, but I think
Joe Miner in chat says Kutch's BVP against Musgrove is 1 for 11 with 5 Ks.
Ooh,
does that negate the furry factor?
We have to bring Chop in on this one, I imagine. I'm not really sure, but I that's not my territory. We don't have lineups again for New York or for Oakland or for Tampa or for Arizona. Or for the Angels and the White Sox. I think I'm swaying towards the Diamondbacks. Corbin Carroll, man. Talk about life coming at you fast. He's in the 6s now, but fully justified. He's been awesome this year. The lock, essentially, for NL Rookie of the Year, assuming he does not get hurt. Power and speed combination. You might get a goofy lineup this afternoon. Who knows? We'll see. But assuming he's in it, I love Carroll as a big spend. Is he getting less ownership than Ohtani? I think he is, right? Isn't Ohtani getting pushed before he is?
Yeah, but they're both going to be very. I mean, you have to assume in the scarce positions that you're going to get. You can get a lot of Carroll, Ohtani, Ramirez, Wander Franco, even Bobby Witt, depending if you're not playing Bieber in the lineups. Just that you could fit a lot of raw projection into your lineups, so people are going to do that. So, like a suggestion, even if you want to play like 2 chalkier pitchers and like an Arizona stack, like don't play if you're playing Carroll in your Arizona stack, maybe you don't play Ohtani or Trout in that lineup, right? For the sake of like combinatorics, right? So you're not as similar to other lineups, and the vice versa. So if you're playing an Angel stack, don't play Corbin Carroll as a 1.
They'll do position by position in a few minutes when the crunch time crew comes in, but it's just sort of interesting. You mentioned J-Ram, Jose Ramirez getting 35% ownership at third base. Third base is not especially deep today. Like Donaldson and all's revenge against Harris at 3.1K is pretty cheap, 19%. But the lineup, the position is not very deep. Young, I guess, is the third guy. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that sort of stands out position wise. You mentioned, Wander Franco. With the absence of Seager, we're looking at Franco now getting 31%. Tim Anderson at 17%, who still just all he does is hit ground balls and he refuses to hit a home run. I shouldn't say it that way. I assume he wants to hit a home run, but it's just not happening. There you go. There's your mush play of the day. Get yourself some Tim Anderson. But Franco, looks like an awesome play. We do have the Crunch Time crew coming in early, it looks like.
Can I ask Roth, have you been listening to the show?
Yeah, so I saw on in the chat someone said, "Hey, who cares about furries? Move on." No, I care. Go back, rewind, go back to the furries.
Do you know the statistic with Andrew McCutchen?
I don't.
Okay, so essentially, Roth. Okay, the fact that we're covering this is ridiculous because a reporter asked him about it. Apparently. Like BVP, like a batter versus pitcher, he's hit like 3 home runs against his pitcher in like a very small sample size. Well, apparently in a very small sample size over 15 games, when this furry convention is in Pittsburgh, he has like 26 hits and 3 home runs. His stat line is ridiculous. When the furry convention is in Pittsburgh and they're playing in Pittsburgh.
But there's been no link to him attending or participating in the furry convention, from what we are aware.
He did tweet this morning, furries.
If you go back to video in those games, I don't believe he showed up to the plate.
In the bunny costume with the open back. You just okay. See, that's what I needed. I needed a little catch up. So thank you for that. Sorry to whoever was complaining, Lone Wolf. That's way more interesting than baseball. Give us a break.
You got to fill time, man. We have an hour.
Right.
We have no lineups. There's a 3-game slate. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want us
Give
to
us a
do?
break here. Right.
So, here, furries, we can kill 20 minutes. Roth, you got a half hour. You're going to throw some furry conversation in there.
Yeah, else. Oh, absolutely. That's going to be like, we're going to talk more furries than baseball over the next half hour, so don't go anywhere. Cheese loves talking furries.
Yeah, that's why I left. I don't even understand what's happening.
The biggest convention is in Pittsburgh, and it's going down right now is what's happening. I think many years ago, McCutcheon was like confused, and like somebody had to explain because they took over the city, and like you don't expect that necessarily, and now he embraces them apparently. But TJ, you had some thoughts that you were typing in the chat about this. Did you want to share anything on it, or shall we just move on?
No, I think the people have heard enough thoughts on it. If I'm being honest.
Fair. Have they heard enough of myself and Blender? Are we done? Are we stepping aside, making away for crunch time? Is that it, Blender? Are we out?
The one thing I will say is you immediately jump to the highest chalk as to who is the most invested in furries, because anytime somebody like had a moderate take, you would just like immediately and aggressively shut them down as if you knew best about the subject. And so I feel like there's definitely some hidden furry inside Dean.
That's the reason why Dean's camera is always only showing like just the tip of his head. He's always dressed in like some bear costume from the waist down.
Right, he's just ready to zip it up as soon as it ends. He's like,
I mean, you get the text, you got to be ready to go in 2 minutes. It's like heat. You just got to be able to everything that you need. You got to be able to get out of the house in 2 minutes or so. So with that in mind, Blender, we should go. I just got a text. And is there anything you want to say, Blender, or shall we just step aside and make way for the Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time?
No, hopefully everyone survives pitching today.
That was Blender. I was Dean. This is the Fanduel sponsor Crunch Time. Roth, take it away.
Let's do it. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent stuff, as always, from the main crew, the flagship program, the GrindersLive crew. This, though, is Crunch Time. This show is sponsored by Fanduel, and it is the show where we bring on two of the sharpest minds in the business. Jeez.
What is cool? So while you guys are talking, like I Googled, what is a furry? I still have no idea. It's like a...
That's a dangerous Google, Dave.
Yeah.
But it's actually not. Like, it didn't give me anything weird. It's weird, but it's really inappropriate. It's like, okay, so maybe this means people who like Bugs Bunny, or I see this cartoon cat staring at me. People who are interested in anthropomorphic or cartoon. I still don't know what is happening, but
so essentially, these
for what
are
it's
people.
worth, what it actually is nowhere near as bad as what they were making it out to be.
What it is people who like dressing up as an animal. They put on a persona. They've got like a little fuzzy costume, and they play. And if you're a kitten, you do little kitten things.
Well, then
also there's a
furry.
darker side.
Oh,
there's a darker side which involves not taking off your costume during certain consensual acts.
Okay, well, let's skip that part. But like, if I just put on my penguin costume and waddle around, then you're go to the furry convention.
Exactly, that is totally allowed. That is what the majority of it is. It's just cosplay. That's all. But I'm glad I could put you up on something new, Cheese. Welcome. Perhaps next time. Next time there's one in Alabama, you can participate.
Yeah, I probably won't, but you keep me posted.
This is the show where we bring on two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. Dave Potts, aka Cheeseisgood. What's happening, Cheese? I feel like you're back and you're full strength or close to it. I'm
weirdly not as close as I seem, but I can talk for more than 2 minutes now and not cough.
That's good.
I still, if I walk up the stairs too fast, I'm still a little tired, but yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have you back, man. You know, it's not fun being sick for a while, but we're on the road to recovery. And then we got my guy TJ coming in hot after some Spidey bomb dropping last night. You're back on the show. What's up, TJ?
Doing well. A little early for my taste. It would have been nice if our wonderful sponsor FanDuel made their slate just a little bit later with the noon games, but hey, that just means more slates, more baseball, and more money to win.
That's right. Speaking of which, we are sponsored by FanDuel. Make sure you're signing up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you are in a legal sports betting state, take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get a no sweat first bet up to 1,000 smackaroos, that's dollars, in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. Let's talk about this slate. There's no weather concerns on the morning slate. There is a very hot game in Kansas City. It's legitimately 100 degrees and it's humid, and I would not enjoy going to that game, but certainly people will. So that's probably the best hitting weather of the afternoon slate, though really not too shabby anywhere. That's it. So Cheese, why don't we talk about the slate in other contexts other than weather?
Yeah, there's kind of just a big blob of everything. Like there's no great pitching, but there's, a bunch of like kind of okay pitching. And then I guess the first thing to say is, so FanDuel has 2 different little 3-game slates, and then DK has a 5-gamer, but each of the FanDuel slates has 1 game that's not on that DK slate. So it's kind of just all over the place. So I don't even know what we're talking about.
I don't either.
I think what we should do is talk the first 3-game FanDuel slate and the 5-game DK slate.
Okay.
I think that's going to be the easiest to kind of break it down. And if we go that direction, we do kind of have a top pitcher for the FanDuel slate with Joe Musgrove. And then the DK slate, we're going to find I'm calling it a 4-way tie up top. But essentially, if we start on that FanDuel, the very early only slate, I like the wording because it is very early, especially if you are TJ in Canada. Yeah. It is definitely a very early only slate. It counts as very early. Musgrove.
I gave the twist because I was like, well, we don't all share the same time zone in Canada. So
you guys have as many time zones. I'm speaking for you.
Saskatoon. It's very early in
Saskatoon. Canada actually is spread as wide as we down here. So basically, salary wise, it's not any issue at all to fit Musgrove or Bieber. Partly because of the strikeout rate of Bieber and partly because of what you were saying with the weather. 100 degrees, not only is it good for hitting, it's a little harder to stay full strength for 7 innings if it's 100 degrees for a pitcher. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I like Musgrove a little better anyway. And I think that adds on to I would just play Musgrove mostly on that early FanDuel slate. The cheap stuff is it's so sketchy. I don't even know why you goof around. I think just play Musgrove and a little Bieber and be done with it, honestly.
Okay, Cheese, do you think we should just go all the way around talking FanDuel and then stop and then start again in DK?
I kind of do. Yeah, it's a different enough slate. And, we have 2 hours before that one starts anyway. So let's do that.
Okay. Then, TJ, let's hear your FanDuel thoughts on this 3-gamer. Hey, Shadow. Hey there. Hi, Shadow.
Shadow has thoughts too, but we're gonna hope that he doesn't share them all too much. I feel like I just want to go Musgrove and then be done with it in terms of pitcher on FanDuel. He's going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's actually had a couple really strong games the last couple days, but Musgrove and Bieber are by far the 2 best pitchers on the slate, and Bieber is playing in 100-degree weather and is going to be 50% owned. So I really just kind of want to roll Musgrove and be done with it. If I was trying to get crazy in tournaments, maybe I would roll some Reese Olson. But for me, it's really just it's a Musgrove day on FanDuel.
Okay. Well, then I suppose we should start talking about some of the bats. We got 3 games, which means we got 6 teams to choose from. TJ, I'm looking at these implied run totals. San Diego kind of standing out there. But what are the people stacking and what are you stacking?
Yeah, Padres are the chalk, and they're the top stack on the board, but you're going to like this one, Roth. I think in tournaments, the way that I like differentiating the most is just going to this weather game, especially if we're going to see a 50% owned Shane Bieber today. This is a guy that just is a very good real-life pitcher and at times a very good DFS pitcher, but it's a dude that just throws strikes. And if he's going to throw strikes and a couple of those fly balls in 100-degree weather might turn into home runs as opposed to fly outs. So San Diego's the top stack on the board. Cleveland is going to be number 2, and they will get some chalk as well going up against Cranky. They're probably my number 1 stack. But then my number 2 in tournaments is Kansas City, And then just from like an overall perspective, not worrying about ownership, they'd be number 3 for me.
Okay, very good. Cheese, your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. So with that Cleveland Kansas City game, like both these pitchers are just guys who just throw strikes. Like they're going to be balls hit on both sides. And I don't love the San Diego stack enough to say that they're so much better anyway. Louis Ortiz, the Pittsburgh pitcher, he was kind of supposed to be good. I don't think he's good yet, although, I mean, like his last couple of starts have been very solid against weak opponents, but I'm not sure that he's a terrible pitcher. He very well might be. But yeah, I'm kind of with TJ. Like, I think the Cleveland Kansas City game on both sides. And then Texas has kind of a weird lineup with, Seager's out and like Garver instead of Heim. I think you can play a lot of different ways around a Ranger stack. And I like them a good bit, even though I also think Reese Olson is a pretty good pitcher. So I don't just love it. But a 3-game slate, all 6 teams are obviously extremely viable in any format.
Okay. Eric Johnson says, "Oh, I missed pitcher. Damn." There was just one.
You didn't. Yeah.
Okay. There's Musgrove. Was it Musgrove?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just basically.
There's really no reason to goof around on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to play Reese Olson, but the thing is, you don't really need the salary. Like, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay. So we're getting some DK questions in, but we're going to hold off. We're going to run all the way through FanDuel with bats as well, right, Cheese? And then we'll reset, and then we'll talk DK because we have so much time before the DK lock. So, Cheese, let's just kind of start position by position and talk FanDuel early slate only, first 3 games, and talk about what you're doing at the catcher first position.
Yeah, it's pretty deep, though, without like a superstar. I think Josh Naylor picks up most of the ownership. I think playing Naylor and Bell in the same lineup is a good way to not be goofy, but maybe be a little, I don't even want to say different, but people don't like clogging up the utility spot. So I kind of like Naylor and Bell in the same lineup. I like Sal Perez a lot against Bieber. I kind of like Melendez, kind of like Cronenworth. But I think Nate Lowe would be my favorite one-off, not in a stack.
Okay. TJ, your thoughts here at the catcher first position on FanDuel?
Yeah, kind of very, very similar to what Cheese said today. I don't know if there's, outside of like a stack, I don't know if there's a specific player that I feel like I need in terms of the just catcher today. Like MJ Melendez, I find very interesting. Salvador Perez, I love for tournaments today. And so I definitely be getting to them in tournaments, and then mixing in first base today. I think Josh Naylor is the top play, but he's going to be chalky. I do like the pivot to the Kansas City guys. And then I agree that playing Josh Bell and Naylor together is a strong tournament way to go about it. I don't think it's super crazy to play Spencer Torkelson in tournaments either.
Okay, very good. Take me to second base, TJ.
Yeah, second base today, it's kind of meh. Like, I think Jake Cronenworth's probably the top play. Like, Semien, I think, projects as the strongest guy maybe, but he's still super expensive today. And I think our RG projections have him a little lower than the bat anyway. So I would much rather go to Odor or Jake Cronenworth as opposed to paying all the way up for Marcus Semien, unless you just have that salary. And then from a tournament perspective, I think Jimenez is probably the one who's going the most under-owned today.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at second?
I think this is a place maybe you go ahead and get different in a stack, which would be to say play Kim instead of Cronenworth in a Padres stack, or play Duran instead of Semien. Like, it's just so obvious what the plays are on a 3-game slate, and they aren't that much different. Like, none of these guys are just like best play in the world kind of things anyway. So I really like just going lower in the order. You're not really losing that much. And even as one-offs, like I would play Duran or Jimenez instead of Semien or Cronenworth.
Okay. How about third base, Cheese?
It's tough not to eat the chalk with Jose Ramirez. I think if I'm going to eat chalk in one place on this slate, that's going to be him. But that is leaving, Manny Machado probably kind of under the radar-ish. It's hard to call a guy who's, maybe 15 to 20% owned under the radar. But when you compare to like a 60% owned guy, I mean, yeah, that's under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you just play them both. I think really my favorite way to do it would be don't play Ramirez in Cleveland stacks. I know that sounds weird, but it's really not weird. Like if the Cleveland stack wins, it's going to be because Greinke gave up like 14 hits, and it kind of doesn't matter where they come from. Whereas Ramirez can do it even if Cleveland as a whole kind of stinks. So
right.
I would be very willing to leave Ramirez out of a Cleveland stack, and that's where you play Machado or Josh Young.
Very good. All right, TJ, your thoughts at third?
I want 75 likes for first Spidey Bomb. We got over 200 people watching. Let's get it up to 75, and we got Spidey Bomb number 1. Third base today. Yeah, Jose Ramirez is the top play by a wide margin, but he'll probably be the highest owned guy on the slate today. I like that idea of leaving him out of Cleveland stacks and then keeping him in there as a one-off every now and then, just because he's going to be so high owned. I think basically anybody else is interesting for tournaments, and I really like Manny Machado. And then if I want to get real different, I'd be including Miguel Garcia in a stack going up against Bieber.
Very good. Shortstop, TJ.
Shortstop, Tatis is the top option today, similar to
Every
Jose
day?
Ramirez. He's going to be 50+% owned today. I like Bobby Witt Jr. a lot in tournaments going up against Bieber. Little Bogarts is fine. Little Javi Baez, I think, is fine. But Bobby Witt would be my favorite guy to go to in tournaments today.
Okay, great. Cheese, your thoughts at third? Short.
Yeah, short. Theoretically, Luis Ortiz is maybe good against righties, enough to the extent that I just prefer Jose Ramirez as the spend-up chalk over Tatis. If I'm just choosing one, I'm going to play Ramirez. I'm going to fade Tatis. But, I mean, by all means, of course, play Tatis. Yeah. I think I like Bobby Witt just as much anyway, and he's cheaper, and I'd rather spend on Ramirez. So, yeah, give me Bobby Witt, and there you go.
Okay. Bring me to the outfield, Cheese.
Juan Soto and Adolis Garcia are, other than Tatis, like they're going to project the best. They're kind of expensive, but not super expensive. I guess I just think, looking at these ownership projections, I mean, I don't want a 50% on Juan Soto. I mean, I like him. I do prefer lefties against Ortiz. Yeah, he's probably the guy. But I think Adolis Garcia is still a better DFS player right now. So give me Garcia over Soto. And then it really thins out in a hurry. I mean, like, there's a bunch of kind of just random cheap dudes after those three. It's really a strange looking position when you see what comes up after them. I mean, I guess I kind of like Nick Prado type players, like Kerry Carpenter, just these random cheap guys that, like, I don't want to play a chalky Trent Grisham, right? That's weird. So yeah, give me, the Royals, or like Duran and Tavares Tavares. Leody Tavares. Give me those kind of Texas bats, or even Jankowski, who's in there batting second. Yeah, I don't want random cheap chalky Padres. It just seems weird.
Yeah. Okay. TJ, your thoughts on the outfield?
Yeah, very similar to what she said. The one player that I want to, like, I guess I could just go through the same ones first, right? Tatis, Soto, Garcia, they're great today. But the one player I'd want to kind of add on that I think is a very interesting thing to do in tournaments today is you just play Jack Sawinski leading off against Joe Musgrove. You're playing Musgrove, that's fine. But Sawinski is underpriced. He's been phenomenal this year against right-handed pitching. Yes, Musgrove is good, but Sawinski's just been fantastic. And now he's leading off. He's been batting like fifth. And the fact that he's leading off now, I'm very interested in that. So going a little Sawinski up against Musgrove is something I'm interested in. A little bit of Matt Vierling I like today. I talked about MJ Melendez, a catcher, another player that I like going up against Bieber today. But outside of that, it is mostly the top guys.
Can you click Sawinski again and pull him up?
Just got a 342 ISO and almost 200 at bats against righties this year. I mean, it's very legit.
I was more interested in his DraftKings salary at the top of the screen, which seems a bit excessive there. Do you see that, TJ?
It's not on the slate, and so it's a single game.
Yeah, that's like a showdown thing.
Oh, okay. All right. I was really confused. I knew it wasn't right, but I was confused. What was going on.
It may not be that good.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Guys, we've done it. We've walked through FanDuel. I think we turn it around. We back this bus up. We start it again with the kind of a DK thought process. That work for you?
Sure does.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, hit us with some likes. Hit us with some thumbs up. That was free FanDuel content there. Make sure you're checking out our sponsor, FanDuel, giving you some fantastic bonus offers as well. Cheese, let's talk DK, and we'll start either as a whole or with pitchers.
Yeah, we'll just kind of start with pitching. I mean, it's a pretty different slate when you take San Diego off, both from the Musgrove side and the San Diego bats. But essentially what we have are 4 pitchers up top that I really have in just a virtual tie. And you see kind of the same thing. We've got Sandoval projected a little lower, but I'm moving him up with basically Bieber, Lynn, and Schmidt. I don't think you need to spend the $10,000 on Bieber. It's fine. I don't really think he's going to be the most popular. I think Lynn, Schmidt, and Sandoval are all going to be about as owned as Bieber. So I wouldn't take too much from saying you're getting sneaky by not playing Bieber. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just I like Lynn, Schmidt, and Sandoval just as much, and they're cheaper, and there are bats to spend on. So if I can only play one guy, I'm gonna play Lance Lynn. Like, he's shown enough of the old strikeout ability. I mean, the guy struck out 16 batters a couple weeks ago. Like, not that that's likely, but he had that ability is still in there, and he's the guy with the super long leash. So Lynn's my SP1. I slightly prefer Schmidt over Sandoval if Saller's not a thing, just because of the matchup. But as I was kind of digging into Sandoval this morning, like, his strikeouts are way down, but he really looks like the same guy as last year. Like, his velocity is kind of creeping back up. I think he's still like basically a 23, 24% strikeout guy, which is basically what Schmidt is. Sandoval has a longer leash. Yeah, the matchup's better for Schmidt, but it's essentially a toss-up. And if you can use the $1,200, which you can, I like Lynn Sandoval. Mm-hmm. And then I will just tell you guys that because I like to lose more than I like to win, I'm going right back to Brendan P-Fat. If you remember earlier this season, like, the guy was just shellacked and they had to send him back down. He wasn't pitching that badly, and he sent back down to AAA. He looks absolutely real again. Like, this guy is an elite prospect. It didn't work out in his first 5 starts.
Whoa. Okay. We got a big problem.
Okay.
The Padres game says it's going to be delayed due to air quality. I'm going to see what they tweeted exactly. What time is that lock at?
It's in like 10 minutes or something.
I mean, let me look. There's one forecast model that shows air quality. So let me look at that real fast and see if I'd like to see what their official, thought was. Is there an official start time?
There are no players out there. Nobody warming up. Tarp going on the mound as of 2 minutes ago.
Man, that's a mess. Yeah, that starts at 35 after.
All right. I've got one beat reporter who has done a good job with the air quality there. So let me see if he's got any thoughts here. Jason Mackey.
Yeah. Hey, Canada, thanks for the air.
Yeah, thanks.
That's just a
so here's
it's a lie, because they're just trying to get more people into the furry convention.
That may be it. This is a McCutcheon quote that I believe was from a pregame interview, or or just, someone talking to him earlier today. And he says, if the players all came together and said, we're not playing, then they're not going to play the game. And that, maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. Good call. I'm sorry. I got distracted by that.
Either from actual news or just from
for what it's worth at this
point, you tell if the air is going to improve?
I can. I have one forecast model that'll show me.
I think you have an edge on FanDuel by just fading that game now.
That's my initial thought. It's like I kind of want to fade it anyway. It's more of a question with Musgrove than with the bats.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, you're not going to like it's not that bad compared to some of the other games we've played in. But
so does it get better?
It gets slightly better later this afternoon. Yes, it gets slightly better later this afternoon, but the numbers are low enough that it's not like a dramatic up and down. I think it's, I don't know. I think that's pretty risky to play that. Like the players literally might just be saying like, we're not going to do it. I have no idea. Obviously everything is speculation at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. To say that now, I think maybe you don't play them.
Yeah.
So who's our FanDuel pitcher now?
I think it's got to be Bieber. Like he's going to give you some points. It's almost like all you want at this point is just make sure you get some points. Like every other pitcher on the slate, it wouldn't be stunning if they go negative. I think you can make a case for Reese Olson, definitely. But that's it. Bieber or Olson. I don't think I can't make a case elsewhere.
Without the Padres, is it even physically possible to spend a decent amount of salary if you go Cody Bradford?
You'd be leaving all the salary on the table, which is fine, but I don't know.
The other question is, has FanDuel been doing the thing this year where if this game gets postponed, will they just move the start time, the official start time back so that you can pivot everyone to the later games? And if so, it would probably behoove you to have guys in this game because plenty of people are going to pivot off. But I don't know if they're doing it. I know they did that last year.
I honestly don't know. I don't want to give an answer to that because I'm not certain.
Yeah. Well, that got interesting. Cheese, what are you doing? Are you pulling guys out of that game?
Well, so I don't actually have any lineups on a 3-game slate. So it's theoretical. I would tell you, I would not be playing anyone in that game. But with Musgrove that far ahead, it's easier to say it than to actually do it. So take that with a grain of salt. But officially, my recommendation would be don't play that game.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in the same boat. I have no idea what they're going to do. Like this is not really a weather thing. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. TJ, you got anything you want to add, or should we kind of get back to where we were with DK?
No, I think we can get back to where we were on DK. I agree. I would probably just fully fade this game now playing on FanDuel. Yeah, that's about it. Let's do DK.
All right. I feel like there's a players' rebellion happening, and the players are like, we're not going to do it. Screw you. Like, I honestly think that's...
And I so fully support that.
Like,
I'm on board.
Yeah.
There's probably... It seems like there have been several games in different places that have been played that arguably shouldn't have. And I think it's fine for the players to say, hey, look, this is silly.
Right. The issue becomes, so long as there's still wildfires in Canada and there's still air that's blowing out of the north, bringing it in, this could be
I just want to see them all
issue.
Just charge into the furry convention with their uniforms on and just have a good time.
This is what we came to do. Okay, well, let's continue. I kind of lost track where we were, honestly. That threw me.
Yeah, so I was almost done with pitching, then I'll give it over to TJ. I want to finish on. I was talking about Brandon P. Fat. So I've got the 4 pitchers up top: Bieber, Lynn, Schmidt, Sandoval, and which I'm fine skipping Bieber. I still think Brandon Pfaadt is good, and I like him at the salary, so he's my cheap guy.
Okay, TJ, your thoughts a pitcher on the DK slate?
So I'm having a little bit of PTSD here because I've mentioned this on the show before a few times that, especially for baseball, there's 2 people whose like opinions DFS wise I put above my own often if they feel strongly about something, and it's Cheese and it's Squirrel. And last night I was on a show with Squirrel, and he says, I really like Domingo Germán. And I said, I don't like it. He's going to be super chalky. This guy's struggled, and he's been kicked out of a bunch of games for sticky stuff. Like, I'm going full fade. And Domingo Germán pitched the first perfect game since 2012.
Makes you wonder if Squirrel gave him some sticky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now today I'm thinking like full fade Lance Lynn. I love the Angels. Shohei Ohtani is going to double dong today. But I got a little bit of PTSD from yesterday, and I just kind of feel like Lance Lynn's probably going to go and throw a no-hit game with 12 Ks now if I fade him, since Cheese likes him. So my personal lean is to go cheap. P-Fad, or whatever we're calling him, FOD. And even a 4K Cody Bradford, I'm willing to take a couple shots on. I don't mind Patrick Sandoval, and I don't mind a little Reese Olson or Clark Schmidt. My current plan was to fade Bieber and Lynn and play some of the offenses against them on this small slate. But to be honest, now I'm a little worried.
Update things here. Okay, I think that takes us to some stacks and bats. TJ, you can lead us off there.
We have reached enough likes for our first Spidey Bomb. And so first one is going to be somewhat chalky, but it's Shohei. I'm going back to back, and I think he double dongs today. I put some bets on him to double dong, and I think he's going to do it. I just like saying double dong as well. It's a fun thing to say. It's an enjoyable alliteration. And so Shohei's number one, but don't worry, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'll give you something a little sneakier, a little juicier as soon as we get to 100 likes. So keep smashing that like button. 100 likes, we will get there. And then in terms of stacks today on DK, obviously I talked about liking the Angels. The Angels are going to be my favorite tournament stack on this little slate. Shohei and the lefties. I'm going to like Tice as long as he's in the lineup. I'm going to want to play Escobar and Moustakas as long as they're in the lineup. Not necessarily the best batters at this stages of their career, but Lynn has struggled against lefties. And although he has his strikeout stuff's been a little bit better lately, I'm still all aboard the Angels train today. I think Arizona might be the closest thing we have like to chalk maybe, but I don't think they're really going to be anything to worry about either. Like they were talking about that on the early slate. I think about Cleveland, like on GrindersLive, about Cleveland and Arizona being the 2 chalkier teams, but I don't really think we're actually going to see too much Arizona chalk. So I do like them quite a bit for tournaments. Tampa Bay's fine in that same game. The Yankees are fine, but I really like taking shots on Cleveland and KC in this warm weather game.
Okay. Let's go position by position real fast. TJ, what do we like at catcher?
Catcher, Salvador Perez is a tournament play I really like today going up against Shane Bieber. Gabriel Moreno, if you need to save salary, all the way down at 2.8K. And then Matt Tice, I think, is going to be my favorite for tournaments.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's I mean, most positions are not very deep. Sal Perez is definitely my favorite guy. I also like Matt Tice. So TJ's been talking about the Angels. Well, I like Lance Lynn. I don't love Lance Lynn. I still definitely like Angels lefties today. Like Ohtani's my top bat on the slate. So
too bad. They're mine.
Yeah. Don't take my, liking Lance Lynn. I mean, I don't like Ohtani. Ohtani is, I'm fully on board with the double dong. I think he only hits one, honestly, but
still good.
And Moreno is my favorite cheap guy just because I like Arizona the best. But yeah, like Perez is the only guy I'm sort of prioritizing.
Okay, very good. Take me to first base. Maybe.
So we got these Cleveland guys again, and Josh Bell is super cheap on DK. Naylor is the better play if you have the salary. If you have all the salary, Ohtani, I think you probably play him at first over the outfield. But he and Corbin Carroll are the two top plays on the slate. I really like Christian Walker a lot, pretty much every day, but also today. And then I'll play some cheap Oakland power bats like Ryan Noda. And then Andrew Vaughn, also just super cheap DK play. So there's really a lot more to like at first base than other positions. But other than Ohtani, none of it like jumps off the page either.
Gotcha. All right, TJ, your thoughts at first?
Yeah, Ohtani is going to be my biggest priority among priorities. I think Naylor is probably going to be my second favorite. Luke Raley is interesting, but I'm probably going to be playing Fott, so I'm not going to get there. Don't mind a guy like Andrew Vaughn if you need to save salary, but for me, it's either going to be Ohtani here or Ohtani in the outfield and Moustakas here at first base. And then, people saying that like the
real quick
does not look very good. And so, you take it away because that locks in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and the beat reporter that I've been kind of following says the game is officially delayed. My prediction, no way this thing gets played. And that is the Pirates beat writer.
Okay,
So
get everybody out of that lineup, pivot to either Bieber up top or a pitcher like Reese Olson down low, or even I don't think it's crazy to go all the way to the Texas guy either. Just make sure all those guys are out of your lineups because I don't think that one's going to play, and it doesn't seem like many people think it's going to play. And then, unless we want to just like speed out of here for the case of speeding out of here, we don't really have to hurry too much for DK now because that's
TJ, you could have slept another hour if we'd known this.
Yeah, exactly. we got this news earlier, and I would have got my sleep in here.
Oh, rude. What's honestly the most alarming thing is that if you look at forecast models, like there's not a whole lot we can do with smoke, but the one model that I have shows it as just like, meh, it's not all that bad. Which means
they want to go to the furry convention.
Well, it just like my concern is that going forward, if this is going to become a thing, I have no real means of being able to predict how it looks smoke wise. If like this is the best I've got and it's not accurate or not indicative of the current conditions, that's troublesome. Okay. I don't know where we are. TJ, how about you tell me what you're doing at second?
Yeah, second base today, I think Ketel Marte is probably the top play on the board. We talked about Jimenez on Fanduel. Don't mind him either if you need to save some salary. As long as he's leading off, I really like Geraldo Perdomo. He would probably be my favorite like individual play here, but I would be more likely to play him at short just so I could play both Perdomo and Marte. If you want to full out punt, you need to save some salary. I don't mind Andy Ibanez on DraftKings, but and then Eduardo Escobar has second base eligibility as well. As long as he's in the lineup, I like him.
Okay, very good. Cheese, your thoughts at second?
I think we get, ownership spread out enough that it essentially doesn't matter. Like a bunch of guys might push like 20%, but basically Semien, Marte, and Torres are all really good spend ups. Marte would be my favorite. And then kind of the same guys TJ mentioned, like Jimenez and Perdomo in the mid tier are fine. Ibanez, Eduardo Escobar for cheap stuff. Otherwise, you're just in a stack.
Okay, great. Take me to third base.
Jose Ramirez is, again, the chalk here and far and away the best play, and I think very worth spending on. But unlike on FanDuel, you can't play two third basemen. So certainly in stacks, you're going to want like Josh Young in a Texas stack or Donaldson in the Yankees. Jake Berger is almost $2,000 cheaper than Ramirez if you want to chase a homer there. I really don't like going cheap outside of a stack here. I mean, something like Michael Garcia is a fine play, but as a one-off, really Ramirez, Young, or the cheaper Donaldson burgers. All I'm getting to.
Yeah. All right, TJ, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, it's my goal is to be different enough elsewhere that I'm just going to play Ramirez anyways because he is such a strong play today. And then I like the burger call. I'm always game for a burger. I had burger for supper last night, and it was absolutely delicious. Had a little avocado on it, some onion rings on it, cheese, chipotle, absolutely delightful. And then Mikhail Garcia is probably my favorite cheap guy here.
When you say onion rings on the burger, were these like fried onion rings, or were these just like, oh God, fried onion rings on a burger, so good.
Now, are you talking
good.
the little chip like one or actual legit onion
No,
rings?
actual legit nice thick onion rings on it. They had 3 on there. It's from Fuddruckers actually. So my parents picked up some food and then brought it over to my house. We ate it in my backyard since it's my birthday tomorrow. And then we got some Fuddruckers. I got the avocado crunch burger. It's got avocado, cheese, chipotle, a little bit of spinach, and then the onion rings on top. It was so good.
The creaminess, the crunchiness, the spiciness, it just all of it together. Oh God, it's amazing.
Fuddruckers is good stuff.
It really is.
We don't have one super near here, and now I wish we did. I would go today.
Now I'm craving a burger with some onions on it. Cheese. Actually, I think TJ, it's your turn to bring us a shortstop.
Yeah, shortstop today. Bobby Witt is probably Perdomo, as long as he's leading off, is my favorite. Bobby Witt probably number 2. I really like Wander Franco, but he's going to be quite chalky, so I don't mind finding a way to pivot off of it. Ahmed Rosario is another player that's picking up a decent amount of ownership that I'm just not. And same with Tim Anderson. Like, Anderson hasn't even hit a home run this year. I'm good. If Franco is the one I like, but he's going 30% plus owned. If Anderson and Rosario are going to be the next 2 highest owned guys today, like, no, thank you at all. I'm just going to be going to Bobby Witt Jr. and Geraldo Perdomo.
Yeah. Okay. Shortstop, Cheese.
Yeah. The one thing that I see when I look at this is I don't believe that ownership at all. I think Witt will probably be slightly ahead of Franco, or at least very close. Like, I think those two kind of run away with it. So I like Witt the best, but like, don't think you're being sneaky with Witt. I don't think that's really the case.
If Bieber pushes 50% owned, do you think Witt's going to be all that owned?
Yeah.
You think he might just be in the other 50%?
And Bieber's not 50% owned either. I just don't think that those numbers are correct. I could be wrong. I'm not an ownership expert. But I think Witt will be essentially as popular as Franco, personally.
Okay.
But I like him better anyway. So even if he's a little bit lower owned, I think he's the better play. Otherwise it's just kind of, I guess Perdomo's my next favorite guy. There aren't even that many players, period. Like, that's just what there is. I guess we haven't mentioned any Tigers.
If you switch to the bat ownership projections, they agree with you 100% on that Franco versus Witt call, and also they have Bieber lower owned.
Okay, that's what I think is going to happen. That's my lean. But anyway, like, Witt and Franco are kind of it at the position, so like they have to pick up some ownership.
Okay, take me to the outfield, Cheese.
So Ohtani again. I don't know. It depends on your build if you play him at first in the outfield, but he's the best play. And Corbin Carroll is the other best play. I do love Carroll today. It sounds like it's going to be after the opener, probably Yanni Chirinos a couple times through. So he has a good matchup for a while. I like Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, along with Adolis Garcia as the other kind of spend ups. I mean, by all means, play some Mike Trout. But like, he's so far below Ohtani because of Lynn's splits that he's just kind of a leftover for me. And then I think you're probably just going cheap mostly. There's a lot of ways to go cheap. I like Arizona a good bit, so like McCarthy and Alec Thomas. All of the Oakland guys are fine. Rooker, Blade, Seth Brown. MJ Melendez is too cheap. The Texas guys, Duran, Jankowski, Tavares. I really like all that stuff. Enough to say I'm probably only playing one expensive outfielder in most lineups with a couple cheap guys.
Okay, very good. I want some home run picks. We have not discussed.
I still gotta go outfield, so I'll
my bad,
TJ. I'm currently debating trying to get 3 of the 4 of Ohtani, Trout, Carroll, and Luis Robert. I do like Adolis Garcia as well, but Robert's just kind of one of those guys. Like, he's had 5 home runs in his last 5 games. He's had 9 in the month of June. You take it back to the mid-May, and it's 15. Like, he's just absolutely beaten the cover off of the ball lately. And so he's somebody that I'm definitely interested in getting to as much as I can. These Tampa guys look pretty good. Giancarlo Stanton as a one-off, I'm pretty interested in as well. If Jake McCarthy happens to lead off instead of Perdomo again today, then I like him quite a bit. And somebody like Alec Thomas as well for Arizona. I don't mind going to these like back half of the lineup guys for Arizona to get a little bit different on a small slate today.
Very good. Let's talk home runs. Cheese, you got a pick for me?
I will not take the obvious one that TJ's already mentioned, although that is the correct answer. To go slightly off the board-ish, let's go with Alec Thomas.
Oh, wait, the game's starting. God damn.
What in the world? Really? How does that even...
It's supposed to start in 40 minutes from now.
Well, there you go.
I hate this shit. I hate baseball. I hate it. Like, that just is so shitty. Like, everyone just got off the only good pitcher, and now there's nothing you can do. Like, that's just such shit. I hate it. Okay, let's take a few questions and get out of here. Sorry. TJ, you got a home run pick for me?
Yeah, we're supposed to still be 11 likes away, but because the people got screwed, not by you at all, but just by Pittsburgh. And so we'll give it to them a little early, but please hit that like button to help us. Not by Canada. Come on. It's if we want to get into this, we're not going to blame a faceless country. We're going to blame climate change, but we're not going to get into that on the show.
Thank you for not getting
for
into it.
my Spidey Bomb, I'm going with Sal Perez plus 400. You can find him with on FanDuel, and Sal Perez is my next Spidey Bomb.
Okay. Let's get this question. Cheese. Dan Jan says, are you okay going double cheap pitchers for tournaments?
Depends what you mean by cheap. If Sandoval counts as cheap, then yes. I think like if you're talking like Bradford plus one of the rookies, I think that's too silly personally.
What if I want to get silly?
Then do it.
I'm a silly guy. It might be. I don't want to be stupid, but I'm okay with being silly.
But is silly really Bradford plus PFAT or Hogan Harris?
It was PFAT.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. We'll see. I haven't made my DraftKings lineup yet. I was waiting until after the show.
Like my biggest problem with that, if you play Bradford and PFAT or Hogan Harris or whatever you like you're locked into the chalk. Like you're just playing Ohtani, Trout, Carroll, and Robert and Ramirez, and like it's the same lineup as everyone else. I don't know. You're welcome to.
Yeah.
I personally don't think I'll have that.
Yeah. Kobe says, when does the Padres game start? 1:20 Eastern is the official start time now.
Yeah, is anybody able to see? Did the site apply the delay, and are you still able to switch things away on for?
That's it. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be nice to know.
Yeah. So if you're playing that early slate, you should check and see if you're able.
If you can get back into it. I have no idea.
So what's everybody got planned for the rest of the day?
Man, my wife made wahoo. Have you ever had wahoo before? It's a fish. And
I was going to ask, is it a fish? It sounds fishy.
It is. It's usually not in our grocery store. And I looked at this fish and I was like, this looks really good. My wife, not a really good cook, but I love her anyways. And just this wahoo was so freaking good. Not too crazy expensive, like $14 a pound. Crazy
in what
good.
way? Cooked in what way?
little pan fry type, pan sear, with a little Asian sauce on top, a little Asian glaze. Holy smokes. If you ever see Wahoo in your grocery store, buy it and cook it up. It's freaking delicious. So I'm going to eat some
Roth. We
leftover.
were going to be drinking on this show.
Forgot for your birthday. Have some birthday beers. Oh, some pre-birthday beers.
You have
like keep it going throughout the day for our second show later.
Are you going to the furry convention for your birthday, or any big plans?
You got any big plans, TJ?
If I was in Pittsburgh, maybe, but no big plans. My parents and my sister and her family came over yesterday. Got a busy day of work today. A couple RG shows. Got an Agents of Fandom show later, and then tomorrow, basically just got the full day off. So I'm gonna go golfing in the morning and then see where the day goes from there.
That sounds pretty lovely. FanDuel will not allow any change. San Diego pit is locked. It's just what a just absolute shit situation that entire thing was. I did not enjoy that. Hey, I do enjoy our sponsor FanDuel for making this show free. Make sure you hit us with a thumbs up. We want to get some eyeballs for our wonderful sponsor.
Devin has been like looking down at something on the screen, like behind the scenes for so long. And then as soon as Roth swears, Devin just like looks up and gives like the Jim looking into the camera look from The Office. And they're just...
yeah.
Oh, you're
sorry,
muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
The furry conversations earlier threw our family show status out the window. So yeah, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a frustrating show. Not how I anticipated it going at all. In fact, it ended up as I anticipated it going, but then they had to throw a damn wrench at us and make us do backflips and then completely change everything.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, but we did not dodge the wrench.
We took the wrench right to the face is what happened.
And hey, before you run, let me just say, we got a handful of Bradford questions in the chat, in the Discord.
Yep. Okay.
No, he didn't get hurt last start. He wasn't a start. Like, he's not really a starter. He's a reliever who's starting. Like, he made some starts in the minors, and he started a couple times earlier this year. Personally, I expect like 60 to 65 pitches. He threw 78 and 90 back in May and started in the minors into early June. So like theoretically he could throw like 80 pitches, but he hasn't thrown more than 64 since early June, like, more than 3 weeks ago. So for me, it's like a 60, 65 pitches thing.
Okay. Okay. We're going to get out of here. I just have so much nonsense I need to handle now because of this. So for Cheese and for TJ and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We're going to catch you later on today. We've got a whole nother slate. Hopefully it'll go a little smoother with slightly better air quality than this one. We will catch you tonight. You have been crunched.